Before we talk about my 5 favorite tips to keep your gut healthy and happy while traveling, I just want to take a few minutes to introduce myself. In case you don't know me, and it's really possible that you don't, I haven't been out there too much, but my name is Aglaé Jacob. I'm a real food slash paleo registered dietitian. Hi, Jimmy. Nice to see you here. So I am not a conventional dietitian. I won't be talking about low fat, grain heavy diets at all. I have a totally different approach, and I think that real food, the less processed possible, and no grains, no gluten, and just nutrient dense food, the basic food that our ancestors used to eat for thousands of years, is the best way to go. I'm also the author of the book Digestive Health with Real Food. I actually don't have a physical copy with me because it was just too big to bring in my suitcase, but hopefully you can see it here on my Kindle. So that's the book Digestive Health with Real Food. That's kind of the digestion Bible. There are a few recipes in there, but if you want more recipes, there's the companion cookbook of the same name. So the brown book is only recipes, and the blue book gives you a lot of information about how digestion should work, how different foods can affect your digestion, how to implement an elimination diet to heal your gut, supplements, and all those sort of things to heal your gut. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so, and what else? Oh yeah, I also co-host the podcast Real Food Mamas. And sorry for everyone if my connection is poor. I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere here, but hopefully the replay will be easier to watch. So I co-host the podcast Real Food Mamas with another dietitian, Stephanie Gronke. So you should really find it on iTunes or Stitcher if you're interested in natural parenting and those sort of things. Look it up. And so it's on iTunes and Stitcher. What else can I tell you about me? I blog at radicatanutrition.com. So in case you're not too sure, oh my God, there was some rain on the table, but hopefully you can make it out. Radicatanutrition.com, RADICATA nutrition.com. Yeah, it's been raining a lot last night. But that's where I blog. It's been really sporadic lately just because I am a new mom, and my son is 13 months old, so I guess I don't have much of an excuse now. He's, getting older, but still, trying to live the pura vida. Thank you for writing it out. Here in Costa Rica, and work as little as I can, and just enjoy life. So, but if you want to subscribe to my blog, then you'll be sure to see whatever is coming up. Whatever is new for me, and I'll also hopefully try to use Periscope more. Yes, I am from Canada. I'm originally from the province of Quebec, so that's where my accent is from. French is my first language, but I recently was living in Toronto, in Ontario. So I'll be in Costa Rica for a few months, not too sure until when, but it's not a forever thing. I wouldn't want to live here forever for many reasons that maybe we'd address in another podcast. But for short term, 3 months or so, probably what we are aiming for now. Yes, I forgot what I wanted to say. But yes, follow my blog, radicatanutrition.com. Oh yeah, and I hope that I can use Periscope to add more content to my blog to provide more information for you, because it's a lot easier and takes a lot less time to just chat together like this rather than sit down and write a post. So I'll be sure to try to upload my scopes to YouTube and add them to my website. Oh, well, nice to see other Canadians there. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Okay, so let's get started with the topic of the day, my 5 top tips to keep your gut healthy and happy while traveling, because digestive health is my passion, and actually this whole journey to heal my gut started while I was traveling, because I unfortunately had a very severe bout of food poisoning or traveler's diarrhea. And then I got a parasite, and that's where everything started going downhill with my health. But that's actually a good thing, because that's what put me on the path to find a lot more information about a side of nutrition that I wasn't taught in school, and on my healing journey led me to write my book, Digestive Health with Real Food, and help many other people improve their digestive health. So I believe that things, even bad things, are there for a reason. There's always meaning that you can find in your struggles and challenges. So I'm trying to make the best out of it and sharing the information I learned from all of that with you. So let's get started. I'll look at my notes because I don't want to forget anything. So I have my 5 tips here that I'll share with you in a moment. So the first one is to drink pure water. It sounds pretty basic, but water is essential to life. And if you're traveling to developing countries, then water can carry a lot of illnesses, parasites, and infections. And so it's really important that you drink pure water. That's probably how I got sick in the first place. It's not only the water you drink, it's also the water that's used to prep your food. If you go eat out, if they rinse your fruits, your vegetables, your salads, then that water may be contaminated and may make you sick. There's also the water in ice cubes and all of these things. So you have to always be on your toes. And unfortunately, you have to drink bottled water. If you can, I prefer spring water if it's from a source that you can trust. Be careful because sometimes bottled water is from treated water, and then it's not the best kind of water. So I'm saying this about developing countries, but even if you're traveling within Canada, the US, Europe, Australia, places where they have safe water. And actually here in Costa Rica, the tap water is safe to drink. It's treated. It's chlorinated, heavily chlorinated, but that's still not what I consider pure water. Chlorine and chloramine, those disinfectants added to the water to treat it, are added to kill any bacteria or anything that could cause disease. But what you have in your gut, you have bacteria and gut-friendly bacteria and microorganisms. So what do you think happens if you drink water with chlorine or pesticides in it? Well, it's probably not a good mix for if you want to have a healthy gut. I actually wrote an article on that very topic that's going to be published in Paleo Magazine in the next couple of months or so. I'll keep you posted on my social medias when it's out. Which bottled water is best to drink? I say it really depends from where you are. Just look at the different bottles, and if you can find one that is from a source, spring water, that you can trust, that's the best thing to do. What we're doing here, because the water is chlorinated and we don't want to be buying a lot of bottled water. Sorry about that. We brought a water filter. So a travel size water filter. It's actually 1.5 gallons. So it's a good size, but it does fit in a suitcase. Maybe I can show it to you. So it removes the chlorine from the water we have here, as well as a lot of the agricultural chemical residues that might be present in the water, because actually in Costa Rica, I don't know if you knew that, but that's one of the countries where they use the most pesticides and chemicals in their agriculture. So there's probably a lot of it left in the water. So this is the water filter that we have here. So it's pretty big, but it did fit in that box. They call it a travel size. It's 1.5 gallons, so I find it really great. And I'm actually going to bring some water for myself to drink. So that's what we do. It doesn't take out the fluoride, though. You can buy a separate filter to add to that water filter to take the fluoride out. We don't have to do that here because fortunately they don't put fluoride in the water. They put it in the salt here. Isn't that strange? So it's not that fluoride has any impact on your digestion. I don't know. I haven't researched that really, but it has other harmful effect on your health. So might something to look into if it's in your water. So yeah, first tip is really to pay attention to the water you're drinking. Drink pure water, bottled water, source spring water, or bring a water filter. There are even little water bottles that you can buy with their own little filters. It's not as efficient as a real water filter as the one I have here, but it can help. And yeah, if you have a whole house filtration system, that's the best thing you can do, because then your shower, all the water you're using everywhere is clean. So, but if you're traveling, you might not be able to bring that with you. So do the best you can. So that's what I wanted to say about my first step. Brita filters are not the most efficient. I mean, we really, before deciding on this one, we considered all types of filters, the Brita filters, the zero water filters, different filtration systems that were able, sorry, there are a lot of insects here, that we were able to carry, but it was just not as efficient as removing different chemicals and chlorine as the one we bought. So yeah, the zero filter is okay. It removes a lot of stuff, but then you have to change the filters constantly. So we probably would have had to bring a ton of filters. And it also makes the water, it also removes all the natural minerals from the water. So it's okay, but the taste is not, I didn't like the taste. I did try it, but we chose the Berkey. So that was for tip number 1, drink pure water. Tip number 2 is strengthen your gut flora. That makes a lot of sense. It could actually have been my very first step, because it's so important. Your gut flora is, there's such a huge connection between your gut and your brain. So it's just makes sense that you need to start there. And actually 70 to 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. So, and that makes sense because the food we eat and the water we eat, through that we're exposed to a lot of parasites and bacteria. So our immune system has to be really strong in our gut to protect us from those different microorganisms that could infect us. So you need to have a strong gut flora to have a strong immune system. And also, if your gut flora is strong, then your gut flora will be colonized with beneficial bacteria and yeast and organisms that will protect you. There's just, it's just kind of a room. There won't be enough room for the harmful bacteria and parasite to take residency in your gut, basically. So having a strong gut flora can really protect you, both by boosting your system and just by having those in your gut to fight against harmful bacteria and to just prevent them from adhering to your gut lining. So sorry if I can answer all the questions as they come. I'll make sure you can ask your questions at the end, because sometimes I'm just too passionate about what I'm talking about that I don't have time to read. And also, I don't see my screen very well because I'm outside. Okay. So what should you do to strengthen your gut flora? Then there are 2 different ways. You can take probiotic supplements, or you can eat fermented foods. Ideally, you can do a bit of both. If you're traveling, you want to bring probiotics that will be stable at room temperature. One that I like is Prescripticist. That's a soil-based probiotic, and it's stable at room temperature. So that works very well. There's also S. boulardii, Boulardii. That's a yeast, a beneficial yeast. And actually, there are quite a few studies showing that taking S. boulardii 1 week prior and during your travels can decrease your risks of having traveler's diarrhea. And that's so important, because for many people dealing with IBS kind of symptoms and digestive issues, a bout of food poisoning or traveler's diarrhea is where it all started. So we need to prevent that and keep our gut flora healthy and happy and prevent infections as much as possible. So that's what I would, there are many other options, but I'm just mentioning the ones that I've used mostly. And if you can use fermented food, that's even better, because you have a broader diversity of strains of beneficial bacteria and microorganisms. And also, are you still there, guy? I don't see myself anymore. Let me just flip the camera again. Okay, sorry. There was a problem with my phone, I think. And in terms of Hopefully the recording is still working though. Okay. So I don't know why they don't have mason jars here, but that's what we found. Those were pickles, a big jar of pickles that we found so we could make our own sauerkraut at home. We threw away all the pickles because look at the ingredients. Isn't that crazy? The bad thing about countries like here is that they do use a lot of preservatives. There's polysorbate 80 and yellow 5 as a coloring. So those are not things I wanted to put in my body. So we just threw the pickles away, but it was worth the investment because now we have our big jar of sauerkraut and we'll be making some again. So if you're traveling long term, that's something you can do. I also brought a small SCOBY. SCOBY is something you use to make your own kombucha. So I'm brewing my own kombucha too, and I'm using those fermented food as a cheap and very convenient way to add probiotics and strengthen my gut flora while traveling. If you're traveling for, not a long period of time and you might not be able to do homemade sauerkraut and kombucha and things like that at your destination, then maybe you can find some ready to eat fermented food at a local health food store. Yes, I did bring my kombucha with me. I put it in my checked baggage with just a little bit of liquid, and the first batch of kombucha I did wasn't too good. I don't know if it was radiated or something. I threw it away afterward and grew a new SCOBY, and now it's working really well. So if you're traveling a shorter period of time, then you can buy ready-to-eat fermented food, and just make sure it's traditionally fermented. Most of the sauerkraut we find at the grocery store is not real sauerkraut. It's just cabbage mixed with vinegar, so that's not really helpful. It doesn't contain anything live, and make sure it's not pasteurized because sometimes it's really fermented, but then they pasteurize it and that kills all of the beneficial bacteria. So make sure you're getting the real thing, but you can still get fermented food if you're traveling. At least in the US and Canada, it's pretty easy to find those at health food stores. So that's it for point number 2. To strengthen your gut flora, you have probiotic supplements, fermented foods. Those are 2 good option. It's not kombucha, it's kombucha. Kombucha. So that's a fermented tea, and it's full of good beneficial bacteria and yeast that can really be helpful for your gut flora. Thank you for spelling it out. Okay, so I'm glad most of you guys are back. Sorry for the problem with my connection. Now, tip number 3, minimize eating out. Okay, so that might sound kind of negative and boring. If you're traveling, maybe one of the joy of traveling for you is to discover the local cuisine and try new foods. But I think that if you are prone to digestive issues, it's really in your best interest to minimize eating out as much as possible for 2 reasons. First, there's always that risk of food poisoning and contamination with either the water or from the staff in the kitchen that might contaminate things with Giardia or Campylobacter or other harmful microbes. And second, there's always the risk of having some degree of cross-contamination with gluten, traces of dairy, soy, or any other food that you might be intolerant to, and that could cause damage in your gut and just set you back with your gut healing. So that's what I did for the first 2 or 3 years of my gut healing journey whenever traveling, and I did travel a lot. I probably visited around over 15 countries during that time, but I did not eat out I could probably count it on one hand the number of times that I ate out. So what I did is that I found places where I had access to a kitchen, and the best place to find those apartments and rooms and houses is to go to airbnb.com. So airbnb.com. You can filter out the search results to find a place with a kitchen, and that's my preference. And then you can cook your own food, and if you I don't feel like I missed out on anything. Even while traveling to those different countries, I would still have a lot of fun going to the grocery store and exploring the type of food that they had, and trying new foods too. That was within my zone of comfort. I remember in Croatia, I had my can of tuna and my coconut butter that I brought with me, and that was my main source of food. I was on a pretty strict elimination diet at that time. I remember even in Italy, I was eating mostly prosciutto and butter and some dark chocolate. That was most of my diet, but still I was sampling the different types of butter and prosciutto that they had. So there's always ways to keep it positive, and even if you are on a restrictive diet or even an elimination diet, there are still ways to make it work. And, even though you might not be eating out as much, if that's something that you like, you will at least feel good. And that's one thing. I mean, if you're traveling, you want to feel good, you want to be able to enjoy the sights, have fun, and meet new people. So that's not something you can do when you have digestive issues. The only thing you want to do in those cases is take hold to bathroom. And that's not my definition of having fun while traveling. So you need to take care of yourself. And if that means not eating out, I think it's totally worth it, because you'll just feel good. And then it won't set you back a few weeks or even months in your gut healing journey. So it's so important. And I love that other people here loves discovering the food options in other grocery stores. You learn so much from that. So that was my third tip to minimize eating out. If maybe you're traveling for business and renting a whole place, a house or something like that is not an option, you can always try to find a hotel room with a little bit of kitchen, or at least a fridge. So if you buy food, you can store it in the fridge. Maybe you can travel with a cutting board, a knife if you have a checked baggage, a plate and a fork, so you can prep something in your hotel room. So there are many different ways to find ways to eat healthy and stick to the foods that make you feel good. It's so worth it. Okay, tip number 4, be prepared. Just in case, okay? Because things happen. If you start feeling not so well, if you feel like, there's something wrong in my stomach, there's a little bit of bloating coming, I'm feeling uncomfortable, that's what happens to me sometimes if I eat out, for example, then you want to be prepared and have something, a backup plan. One of the first things I do in those situations is to take activated charcoal. So that's something that is recommended to take in case of poisoning. So whether it's food poisoning from a bacteria, parasite, or whether it's poisoning from gluten or other foods that are real poison to your body if you don't tolerate them well, then activated charcoal can be great. I mean, it's hard to know if it's working all the time. I don't think it works all the time for me, but sometimes if I take it at the right time, I feel like it's really helpful. But of course, there's no way to know what would have happened if I would not take it. But I do feel a lot better taking it when I feel that way, feel a little bit off. And I think it did help me prevent some bad stuff from happening. So exactly. So activated charcoal, you don't absorb it. It just binds to things in your gut, to even gas and toxins and bacteria. So it helps you, get those things through your digestive system without them affecting you too much. Another thing you can do is take some homeopathic remedies with you. This one, arsenicum. So that's not real arsenic. It's really a diluted energetic medicine, but that can be really helpful in case of food poisoning. So that's something you can have on hand. The other thing you can use is essential oils. I like to use oregano oil, thieves, peppermint can be really helpful to have on hand just in case. As I said, better be prepared than sorry. For example, one time I was traveling in Guatemala and staying at a hostel, really cheap hostel. I had a bed in a dorm for $8, not even. And they had a big water bottle. They were providing supposedly clean, safe water to drink to the travelers. I had my own stainless steel water bottle that I would refill there and feel really good about not having to buy plastic water bottles. But one time I saw one of the staff filling up that big water bottle with tap water from the hose. So I was petrified. I was really so scared because, as I told you, that's how my digestive issues all started, with a bout of food poisoning and traveler's diarrhea. So I was really scared that it would start all over again. So I took some oil of oregano diluted in water, took a few shots every few hours for a couple of days, and I was fine. Doesn't mean that I would have been sick otherwise, but it made me feel better. It made me feel better to at least do something about it. So, of course, make sure you use quality essential oil, especially if you're going to ingest them. That might be another topic for another scope. But yeah, and with everything I recommend, just make sure you talk to your healthcare provider to make sure it's appropriate for you. So that's point number 4, be prepared. And number 5, my last tip for today, is hug a tree. So that might sound pretty crazy, but what I mean by that is that spending time in nature, having green living things around you is so therapeutic. There are studies now showing that it boosts your immune system, and we want to have a strong immune system if we want to avoid food poisoning and not be sick from everything that's around us. So that's one way you can keep your gut healthy. And also by relaxing. Just some people travel and they just have a list of things that they want to see, and they just like crossing things off a list. And I completely understand that. I'm that type of person too. But if you can just do some slow travel, that's going to be very helpful. My battery is getting low, so hopefully I'm not cut off, so I'll try to be quick. So that's what I wanted to say. And yeah, I'm just going to lower the brightness so my battery lasts a little bit longer. So yeah, slow travel. Try being a traveler rather than a tourist. So just take some time to slow down and just sit in a park or in the public places and look at the people and try to get to understand the culture rather than just seeing and taking pictures of touristic attractions. That's what travel is about, in my own opinion. And we need to minimize stress even when traveling, because it can be stressful to be out of your usual environment. So you still need to do the daily things that you should do to chill and relax. That's going to be really helpful for your digestion, for your immune system, and for everything else. Actually, I think that if you travel the right way and do slow travels and take care of yourself, feed yourself properly, you can actually speed up your gut healing journey. You can really make a lot of progress by just, I hope that you're going to hug a tree after this scope. So yes, I have personally felt like traveling and doing it in the right way has really helped me heal many different aspects of my life. So that's it, guys. Tip 1, drink pure water. Number 2, strengthen your gut flora with probiotics or fermented food. Number 3, minimize eating out and maximize eating in to feel as good as you can. Number 4, be prepared just in case. And number 5, hug a tree because we need to relax and take it easy. Okay. And in case you didn't get the probiotics I was talking about earlier, it's Prescripticus and S. boulardii that are shelf stable and that have worked really well for me. So that's it. I survived. Thank you guys for staying here. I hope this provided value to you. If you have any questions now before my battery runs out, you can ask it. Yeah, I'm glad you're planning to get outside today. It's so important. Of course, food is really important. I'm a dietitian and that's my first passion, but I think that food alone is not enough to heal. So you need to really pay attention to all the different aspects of your life. Yes, hug your trees. They're so important. They're the lungs of our planet, and we can see that I have a lot of tree hugging to do here. All right, so I won't take much more of your time. I hope you have a good weekend, and if you have some traveling planned in the future, keep your gut strong and healthy, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. And don't forget to check out my website, radicatanutrition.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, so you can find me there. I'm not on catch.me. I don't know what that is. Sorry. And yeah, I hope to see you there. If you have any topics that you would like me to talk about, let me know. And yes, we'll be in touch very soon. Thank you so much, guys, for all the hearts. I really appreciate. Thank you. Take care. Bye. Here we go. Why is not stopping? Come on. Yes, trees are connected to a hug. I'm pressing the button stop broadcast, but it doesn't want it.